house.
When I heard Piittsburgh, I thought, you know, rivers, summertime, smallmouth, yeah.
The 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champion from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Kevin Van
I think everyone knows that our sport is changing. Some change seems to be good and some seems to be bad, but I'm just telling you, the excitement and the enthusiasm around this past year's Classic was like no other.
What I thought when Bass chose Piittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a Classic site was two things. Number one was obviously we're stepping outside of the box, which is great. The other thing I thought about was this filthy, polluted, really bad fishing place of a river.
I knew that a fishery like that would be super tough, but at the same time I knew it houses bass. It harbors a population of fish. So my next thought was, I'm gonna have a really good shot to win this tournament. You know, it's a tough fishery, there's smallmouth in there, and it's a river, you know, in an urban setting, which are three things that are right up my alley.
Piittsburgh so exceeded my expectations of being a great Classic city. First off, they did such a great job to promote it. Everyone knew what we were there for.
Piittsburgh took this very, very seriously. They came to the previous year's Classic in Charlotte and took copious notes, and their whole goal from that point forward is we want to raise the bar. We want to make sure that this Classic is better than the one in Charlotte.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present your 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic Super 6.
Possibly the greatest city I'd ever been to. As far as it was huge, and I was really intimidated when I first drove in town, but after getting out and I'm meeting people, these people were nice. I was really impressed. When I left Piittsburgh, I had a great time and enjoyed everybody there. I think I'm a Steelers fan.
When you get 10, 15,000 people showing up screaming in the morning like this, if that doesn't get you fired up about your job, you got no blood in your system. So this is cool.
To be out there in an urban setting, you know, and you're fishing, you know, next to a bridge, and you look up and there's rush hour traffic, and there's the 9 to 5 guys in business suits, and they're kind of looking at you with strange looks, and then you set the hook and you catch a smallmouth.
The fishing in Piittsburgh was very tough, to say the least. We knew going into it was going to be tough, but you don't put the world's best bass fisherman in an aquarium full of bass.
You want to put them on a tough course because it's a level playing field for everybody. And then you let the cream rise to the top, and that's exactly what happened. We had the closest Classic ever in the history of 35 years of Bassmaster Classics.
Those are jewels in this tournament. Don't look like much, but I'm telling you, those are golden.
Personally, when I see the Bassmaster Classic, I like for them to go somewhere where a guy can catch a big string.
You know, who would ever thought you could catch 11 pounds and 12 ounces or whatever and almost win the Classic?
It's sad, but I'm proud of them.
And you start thinking, good God, I caught 4 fish, and you know, you jump way up in the lead, so it kind of starts setting into you.
It's you know, when you're at home and you're referred, I'm looking for the old bucket mouth. That's a 5 or 6 pounder. I told my camera guy that. I said, I'm looking for a bucket mouth. He said, what would that be? I said, about a 12 1/4 incher would do me just fine.
This is the Classic, and when it's that tough, you never know when that 2-pound smallmouth bite's going to come. And you know, a 2-pound bite in that tournament will vault you 10, 15 places.
There you go. Yeah, that's the way to start it out, the keeper.
I personally enjoy to go watch weigh-ins where people are holding up big giant fish. But, you know, in reality, you know, the guy that wins a tournament when he catches 4 pounds a day,
13 incher almost. Giant.
he's maybe even a greater champion than the guy that, you know, he happened to catch 26 pounds a day instead of 24 pounds a day.
It's a survival deal. It's a deal whoever can catch, you know, 5 fish or the most fish every day is going to win this tournament. And that's all I'm trying to do.
fishing was extremely tough at the 2005 Classic. Defending champion Takahiro Omari didn't even make the cut. And the guys who did found the dog days of summer on these three rivers testing their patience.
God!
Oh, I missed one.
No! No, come on.
The title probably changed hands more in the last day with people losing fish than it ever has. You know, more people actually held that victory than didn't in any other classic. We were all holding it and we all knew it. It's just who could hang on to it.
Oh, no!
Missed fish was key. I mean, I talked to a whole bunch of people, Gerald Swindle, Mike Iaconelli, over and over. You talk to them and they said, man, I had a 3-pounder that, it ate a small crankbait, or I was throwing a small spinnerbait and lost a couple of big fish.
Oh, dang it, Davey, you jerked too fast.
Oh! No, oh my God, the big one, dude, I saw it.
Aaron Martin is the story of the week, I think. I mean, that's all you see is this guy set the hook on spinning reel or spinning tackle and losing these fish.
Makes me want to throw up.
And I know I lost as many or more than anybody. It was awful. That was the hardest part about that tournament for me. It was just losing fish.
God almighty. I rushed him, dude. I rushed him. I don't think he was 12, but he was damn close.
Some people say, well, you said a bad word. You look very angry. Well, it's not that 12-inch fish that I'm angry at. It's not that one particular time that I'm shedding, or I share my emotions. That's 20 years of dreaming. That's something I wanted since I was a child. That's 35 million cash probably to get that one opportunity. So it's not just when you see a guy, boy, there's Aaron, you see Aaron break down in the boat, people thinking, it's just a fish. No, that's years from him being a child, the same as me. So that's the appeal. That's where it starts getting up here in your head, because you realize that everything I've ever wanted was just on the end of that fishing pole, and I couldn't land it.
Gerald Swindle, you cannot continue to do this and win the Classic. You know that. You have to put him in the boat, son. You have to.
But it was like that everywhere you went, and it was exciting. It was neat.
God, no! And I had to let me see him, too.
Yeah, I watched Kevin lose a nice one. I felt for him a little bit. Not really.
Oh, my God! Oh, my God!
It's hard to overcome missed opportunities, especially in a tough event. The first day when I lost 3 keepers, that's when I had my tough time, because I knew how valuable a 1-pound keeper would be in that event. 3 out of the first 4 bites I got, I lost.
You just can't lose fish in this tournament.
Yeah, Davey only had 1 fish on day 1, and like I said, mentally he was just destroyed after that, because he had his chances.
Davey Hyde is a hammer. One of the things I like about Davey Hyde is when it really, really tough fishing, Davey's going to come to the top. Davey's a guy that has had the feel of winning a Classic before. He won at New Orleans.
A lot of anglers would have been done at that point. But, Davey went out there the next day and he fought through it and had a great day, and then boom, there he's right up there in contention again.
What you had there was you had Davey not giving up. Davey saying, this is a wide open tournament. And the fact that as the tournament progresses, those veteran tournament anglers that are that good, like Davey, get more dialed in as the event goes on. So, every day that went past, he started figuring it out a little bit more.
No matter where you're at, if Davey Hyde's behind you, keep your eyes out, because he's gunning for you, And it does tell you that the fishing's tough, and a few bites can change the whole game.
1 3-pound bass will make you $200,000 today and $1 million over the course of a year or two. Just 1 3-pound bass, what a difference it can make in somebody's life. And I hope it's mine. Day 3, the Classic. Shook up, tore down, broke out of frame. I'm talking about tore up from the floor up, nervous.
Gerald's a hammer on the rivers. Gerald knows river systems very well. He was really a pick from a lot of the press to win this year's Classic. Not only from the standpoint he was fishing pretty good, his confidence level was very, very high. And Gerald's a good fisherman on the river.
Yes! Love rivers. They're long. They don't have many creeks. I'm either fishing on the left side or the right side. It's pretty simple. I like that.
Oh by God, I ain't behind Aaron Martin no more. I'm in front of it.
Even if I got a lake, I gotta go around and around. I gotta go in creeks. On that river, you're either going up fishing one side or coming down on the other. And I really like that. Simple fishing that's hard to understand, if that makes sense. You know, it's just a river.
That's right. I'm in your house.
G-Man Gerald Swindle, probably the funniest dude alive right now, walking the face of the earth. He's a character. I mean, I've known Gerald for a while. Awesome dude, funny dude, line for everything.
I'd run naked up a grass, big old just rock road, just butt naked, just running like hell. I'm so fired up. Whew.
Gerald is a natural-born comedian.
You miss me, I'm heck committed dirt.
When the tournament's on the line, he's as serious as anybody. He just that's kind of his way of releasing some of that anxiety, is just cracking jokes and just, you know, that's just him.
Back in the day, so to speak, you know, you had Jimmy Houston. What would you trademark him as? Well, he's the guy that always giggled. You know, had Roland Martin. He was the guy who was always kind of smart-alecky and cocky. And I think that now we've just got guys like Gerald who have a different way of exhibiting their personality. And yeah, he's the real deal.
125 degrees. Feel like a piece of rotisserie chicken up there in Kentucky Fried Chicken, just smoking. Power just right out in the middle of nothing. Ain't nothing going on. It's bloop, 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 bloop. And there it is. I changed my diaper.
His strength, and which probably isn't talked about a lot, is Gerald is one of the most versatile fishermen I know.
He can fish docks, he can fish deep, he can fish shallow, he can fish a spinnerbait. He can fish anything you want to fish, and he's very, very good with all the tools. That's how you get good, and that's why Gerald Swindle's a special angler.
Kevin Van Dam is a southern boy that was born in Michigan. He's a tremendous fisherman, obviously, a hunter, just a good old boy that happens to have a Michigan accent.
Kevin Van Dam is special, and he's special for a lot of reasons. One reason is he doesn't go with the norm necessarily.
There it is. Good one, too.
A lot of guys were throwing very small baits. They were throwing, you know, beetle spins. They were throwing everything you could possibly imagine. And Kevin broke out a rogue that hadn't been used or hasn't been made in 10 years.
He had a few baits that he just had so much confidence in, and really in our sport, confidence is probably 50%.
There's one. Good fish, big one.
I used a real old shallow running rogue. It's a bait that I'd fished before in the past. You know, it's really kind of what I grew up using in Michigan.
Yes, good fish.
The ones that I had that I fished in the Classic were, you know, over 20 years old, and I only had a handful of them, like 4. I ruined all of them. You know, I was lucky to get through to have them.
There it is. Good one. Yes.
Aaron Martins is one of the most laid-back guys on the tour. He's unfazed about anything. Rarely does he get ticked off unless it's, you know, about himself.
Aaron spent a lot more time on each location than I did.
You can't go a ways in this place. I'm staying here all day.
When you're fishing the drop shot rig, especially the way he was, because he wasn't fishing it on the bottom, he was just kind of with a real light weight and letting it kind of flutter down with the current. It's time consuming to cover the same amount of water that I would with a jerkbait in a few minutes. He spent more time there and, you know, caught more fish on each location. He'd sit there and just work and work and work and antagonize these fish into bite.
Aaron had this now infamous fish that measured on one side, and when you turned it over, it didn't measure on the other side. You know, mouth open, mouth closed.
If you just relax the fish and just kind of almost let him float on the board and has his mouth shut, you see his fin go over. As we were just saying, flip him over. You know, always flip a fish over and check this other side. And I did the same thing on that side, and it was like a little short. I'm so sick of this. Worried me enough to where I just tossed him.
They got a lot of attention but I can't see Aaron or anyone else throwing a 12-inch fish back because it might cost him. If it's 12 inches, it's not going to cost you anything.
If that fish was kept and it measured, Aaron Martin would have won the Classic. With downtown Pittsburgh as the backdrop for the 2005 Bassmaster Classic, fishing was extremely tough, driving top anglers like Mike Iaconelli to push himself and his equipment to the limit.
You gotta love Ike, man. The guy's enthusiastic. He can catch them. You know, he's a Yankee. Hey.
The Classic is all about taking gambles.
If this doesn't work, I'm in trouble today for sure.
If you want to win there, that's usually, the difference.
Another situation where I was trying to get to a group of fish that no one had fished for. It was actually an area that I found in practice, and it was the very, very back of this creek, this industrial-looking creek. And when you got to the very back, there was a little tiny washout where I located a group of small keepers. And it was kind of my ace in the hole. And on the second day, I had, 1 or 2 fish in the live well. I was really struggling, and that was going to be my ace in the hole. I get all the way back there, and I'm talking about it's a long idle, and I finally get back there and I realize the water level had dropped about 1 foot in the time when we pre-practiced. And again, my mentality was, hey, this is the Classic. Let's try to get to those fish. Let's do whatever we can. And I really pushed that boat to its limits. I pushed the equipment to the limits to try to get far enough up to make a cast to those fish. Unfortunately, I never made it. A fully rigged Triton boat with a 225 Merc isn't supposed to get in 3 to 4 inches of water, and I tried to make it happen. And it just wasn't happening, and so I actually had to get out, spin the boat around, and push myself out. In tournaments and events, we can never push into an area, but we can push out to get off of a spot. So that's what I had to do there. At that point, I was frustrated. I couldn't reach that spot, so I basically had to just throw my hands up, give up, spin that boat around, and push myself out, and just accept the fact that I couldn't get up there.
That ain't nothing wrong with that. Rules say you can push out. I think it's kind of funny. He's a little bitty fella. How far is he gonna push it?
I gotta tell you, I had thoughts of, I just blew the Classic. That was it, and I just blew the Classic.
The launch site on the final day was unbelievable. There were 2,000 or more people there. It was like college game day on ESPN.
Let's get this party started.
This is it, boys. Hero or zero.
It's a great feeling the last day of the World Championship, the biggest show in fishing, to think that, hey, I could win this thing. I'm going to have fun this next 8 hours and have a chance to win it all.
The last day at Pittsburgh, there's some butterflies. I'm at the takeoff. My wife and stepdaughter come down, and you start getting the jitters. You start to see things could happen here. It's all time. Big crowd, everybody's screaming. Still keeping in my mind, I'm gonna fish slow. I'm not changing my game plan. I'm top water and I'm throwing a little crankbait.
I knew the final day that I had a great shot to win. I had to have a limit, and I felt like I needed 1 or 2 good fish to do well. Aaron was solid every day. He's fishing basically the same water as I was.
I just felt like I really had a fish figured out as good as anybody. I figured if I just did everything like I was supposed to, I'd bring in 4 or 5 fish.
Yeah! Hot damn!
Fished right till the bitter end, knowing I needed 1 good fish, and I didn't get him. I knew Aaron would have a limit. I had a small limit, and I had ground to make up.
Lost fish and lost opportunities would result in one of the closest Classic finishes in history.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present
present your 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic Super 6.
The Super 6 to me at the Classic is as close to being at a rock concert as you can get. You know what I mean? You literally feel like a rock star.
I felt like it was the most exciting weigh-in ever to hear the fans out in the arena. They seemed to like it more than any Classic I can ever remember.
You feel the energy there, the enthusiasm. I mean, those fans were going crazy. They knew more than we knew. They knew it was going to be real close, and it was going to be down between the leaders there, and just to see what was going to happen. I think everybody else was really looking forward to that moment too, and you could feel the anticipation in the crowd even.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and meet our next angler. He goes by the name of Kevin Van Dam.
It really was a classic scenario. You know, it was Angler of the Year, Aaron Martin, who had a second place the year before. It was Kevin Van Dam, who was on a super hot streak or already won a Classic. And here they are, and it's going to come down to ounces, you know? And I don't even think that we were rooting for anybody in particular, but we were just chomping at the bit, like, what's going to happen?
5 bass, 4 pounds, 13 ounces, and Kevin Van Dam moves to the top of the food chain. That is what it's all about.
Aaron walked up there, and you can't really see what's in the bag or anything like that. And I'm kind of sitting back there in the background, and when you see the fish in the scales on the big screen, they look a lot bigger than they are, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, you know.
Even before talking to Kevin or anybody, I knew I didn't have it. I knew. For some reason, I just knew.
Oh, is this going to be close? 3 pounds, 8 ounces, and that makes Kevin Van Dam a 2-time Citgo Bassmaster Classic champion. Oh my.
The feeling was a lump. just a heartache, heart hurt, chest, and I knew my wife was probably crying, and the baby. I was like, oh man.
There's a very sad part to, hey, he's finished second 3 times. I don't know anybody else in the world say they finished second 3 times. Well, not even Kevin. It's a great feat to have done it 3 times.
I finished second 1 time, and it seemed like the end of the world. I cannot imagine what it'd be like to be second 3 times.
With Kevin having the smallest winning Classic weight ever, I don't think that tracks from his victory at all. In fact, I think it makes it more important. He's able to now say, I won the toughest Classic there was ever in history.
A setting like that brought out what people wanted to see, just how good is Kevin Van Dam. Well, he's, by God, good.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. To become a better angler, log on to ESPNOutdoors.com.